Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Hollow and I'm so happy to tell you today that as of today, March 27th, we have an official beta date for Blue Protocol. After the sadness of the original beta delay, pushing it back to sometime in April, we now know that the beta will occur late April on the 23rd to be specific. This news comes via the official website with a schedule update, so let's dive into that because there's some really interesting news here. We were given this simple layout for the beta timeline. Firstly, we'll be starting with the beta application results on March 30th, so sometime that day you'll know if you got in, if you did sign up. But very interestingly, there's this surprise detail coming up right after that. Between March 30th and April 6th is the Friends Invitation period. At this time, we don't have any clarification on this, but it's undeniable that this means between March 30th and April 6th, those with access will be able to invite friends in some form. Now, is that just getting your friends added on the friends list for in-game play? Or what I'd much prefer, if you receive beta access, will you have multiple invites you can extend to others to then grant them access to the beta as well? Who knows? But we should know soon. Do know also that we'll be able to pre-download the beta on the April 20th, that's 3 days before the beta, and then start playing on Thursday, April 23rd for that launch of the beta, which will end on Sunday, April 26th, just a few days later, which we already knew the beta would only run for 3 or 4 days. After that, we'll have a beta questionnaire, no doubt to give feedback to the devs, and hopefully the devs will address that feedback in a stream or something. Apparently, they promised to provide more details about each of these things, and let me tell you, I'm going to be listening intently about the Friends Invitation period. It's great to have all of this news, but amazingly, I just have more questions now. I guess we'll have to wait and see, and obviously, I'll let you guys know any important detail that they reveal. Personally, I do think that this is a very short beta period. You know, we're talking just a couple days. I am hoping, and I'm very hopeful for this, in fact, that there will be a second and maybe even third beta run sometime after this one, hopefully not too long after it. Give them time to make some adjustments and then run another one for more tests. I think that's going to be very important. It's too short of a beta before a full release, so I fully expect we see more testing and more game time for us soon after. However, we do have some small interesting updates alongside this while we wait. We've seen some images. A new monster with this sort of magical ox looking guy has been revealed. He looks very big and scary. We've seen some pictures here of the shops up and running for all your vendor needs, and there's a teaser for a new battle imaging. It's the boss from the first dungeon that we've been looking at, confirming once again that you can defeat bosses and then have them work for you via the summon system. Looks like this guy's going to charge into battle for you. And best of all, on top of these little updates, we actually had a couple videos. 2 classes had their skills reworked to have much more impactful and flashy animations. The Aegis fighter and the twin striker. This is great news. I've seen a lot of valid complaints that the melee users compared to the mage, for example, their posture, their animations were a little off or lacking in uniqueness. If we take a look at the fighter, we can see this new shield bash chain combo and a few different chains actually. There's also this mid-chain defense up buff, a fancy sort of self-buff salute. We have the AoE Holy Light spell that now deals damage over time in an area rather than being a one-hit wonder, which you can charge up for greater effect and longer effect too. We also can make use of that Holy Light to enhance the very weapon swings of the fighter with this very fancy lighting effect. How angelic. The Twin Striker is seeing much more fiery effect on his strikes now too. We saw glimpses of this before in certain streams, but generally fire over wind effects seem to be occurring now. The chain strikes are much more flashy for your striker himself. Now he performs aerial flips and spins to add impact and weight to his strikes, and it looks, God, it looks so much better. We see another mid-combat self-buff here, this one for attack up for the striker. It certainly seems like they're adding variants to chain strikes now. Instead of just having one you repeat forever, now you have multiple choices such as the self-buff chain. Once again, those leaping strikes are still looking good, but they have a beautiful fire effect now compared to the original white wind effects. The fire and holy light effects both look much more unique when compared to that default sort of white wind effect. And we also see some changes to the drain effect as well. The strikers look so much better, showcasing the weapon being powered up, and then you've got these altered fire effects where subtly there's a bit more red to this one. Both look great with the new chain combos, self-buff abilities, and most importantly, a bit of class identity with those holy light effects and fire effects too. Mechanically, better, but visually so much better. While I leave these side-by-side comparisons on, what do you think about the beta news? I'm so glad that we had some ironed out dates and timelines. I really appreciate the confirmation here. It does suck that it was delayed almost 2 months, but with this virus, nothing can really be ignored here, and I'm glad they're being smart and safe about this. It would have been terrible to launch the beta and then immediately not be able to get in office and have hurdles of issues. I'm most interested to learn more about what they mean by the friend invitation period. As I mentioned, I do think this means that those with beta access could potentially extend access to multiple people that they know. If that's the case, and you have beta access, please, I'm gonna beg you right now, please contact me or Rage should you have a spare code or invite. We obviously want to cover the beta with our own footage if we can, and we don't have any idea if we're going to get in the beta. You could message us on Twitter or Discord, whatever works for you. But for now, that's all from me today. I'm hyped to sell for more Blue Protocol, and if you are too, make sure to check out my other videos on the game. This is my 4th video now. I've covered skill trees, the imajinn summon system, PvP arena, the dungeon, how all the classes work and their abilities too. All of those videos are on the channel right now. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and I'll see you next time for more Blue Protocol.